From the north side of the San Francisco Bay to Singapore, welcome to Urban X Real Talk Fitness Radio with your host, business owner, lecturer, author, master trainer, Tiaja. With over 30 years of experience in the health and fitness industry, he will challenge the fitness between your ears. So prepare your mind, body, and soul for the revolution of self-care, the evolution of fit, with real talk about real people, real health, real fitness, and the real deal behind our present illness culture. Real talk every time, all the time. Get weekly insights on how to shift your thinking, emoting, eating, training, hydrating, goal setting, and resting for you, the everyday athlete. You can cheat your fitness, but you can't steal your health flow. It's Tuesday, 9 a.m. Let's flow.
Welcome to Urban X Real Talk Fitness Radio, where we challenge the fitness between your ears. I'm your host, Tiaja. Why do we age? Well, according to most of the leading scientific literature, we now know that inflammation is a major precursor to most, if not all, degenerative diseases normally associated with aging, which includes cancers, arthritis, heart disease, Alzheimer's, as well as numerous other diseases. Now, inflammation changes the way our cells communicate with one another. However, what medical science considers age-related diseases has very little to do with the aging process itself. The biological markers, such as deterioration of the body over time, is not a straight line, but an unpredictable set of changes that look different in everyone. Moreover, no single process can be pinned down as aging by itself. The common signs of aging, such as losing muscle strength, defects in memory, and moving more slowly, not to mention medical conditions like arthritis and dimmed eyesight, are related to many different processes and don't appear in every elderly person. In fact, in most cases, these changes can be permanently reversed. Now, I have trained hundreds of so-called elderly people who have grown physically stronger, got off their mad cocktails and thus the treatment treadmill, and have procured better memory function as the years went by. I also found it strange that as children, we couldn't wait to get older because we knew we would be bigger, stronger, smarter, yet now as adults, we are to believe the opposite is true. Chronic inflammation does have the possibility to complicate in this scenario, in part by changing the way our cells receive information, even changing the DNA or instruction of the cell. Well, let's take a look at some of the ways you can change that by exploring the common factors why some people seemingly never suffer from the so-called aging process so many others share. Over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to share a discussion with you from a gentleman by the name of Wim Hof from the popular YouTube channel Impact Theory. Wim Hof speaks on how to trick the immune system to thwart disease. At times, he gets a little technical, but you'll definitely be able to glean some useful nuggets from what he is telling you. So listen carefully to what he has to say. I'll be back with my 2 cents thereafter. Today will be just another day, unless you decide today that it won't be. It is Tuesday, August 13th, 2019. Let's flow.
All right, today's guest is a real-life superhero. The first time I heard about him, I really could not believe that he was real. He holds 26 official Guinness World Records for feats that were long believed to be fatal or just outright impossible. He's run a half marathon above the Arctic Circle barefoot. He's remained completely submerged in ice for nearly 2 hours, and he climbed Mount Everest wearing only shorts. He's also hung more than a mile off the ground by a single finger, run an entire marathon in the Namib Desert without drinking a single drop of water, and swam underneath the ice of a frozen ocean for almost the entire length of a football field on a single breath. His radical demonstrations of what the human animal is truly capable of have garnered him devotees and skeptics in equal measure, but he has systematically silenced the naysayers by subjecting himself to the rigors of science. He has allowed himself to be poked, prodded, and probed during his insane feats, and in one experiment even allowed himself to be injected with an endotoxin to prove through conscious action he could mobilize his immune system to neutralize the threat, which is exactly what he did. And when people tried to dismiss him as a genetic freak who is simply beyond the rest of us, he taught 12 more people to do exactly what he did, and they all got the exact same results. So please, help me in welcoming the man who can raise his core body temperature while submerged in an ice bath, the Iceman himself. Adaptation. What is it about what you do that triggers the adaptation response, and what adaptation response does it trigger?
The power to adapt to the stressor in general. We lost this connection is because we wear clothes all the time and we live in a comfort zone behavior. We think we can control nature, but by being non-stimulative in our behavior, we lost the connection in the depth of our physiology. Because we are able to adapt about to anything. We are built to be able to adapt without stress into any stressful situation and get a solution. The body knows. But because we got into this comfort zone behavior hundreds of years, our genetics have changed, our physiology has changed, everything has changed. And we lost actually the full power of the mind. And I'm here to bring it back. Impact. You better listen to this conversation. Yes.
I like that. All right, so how do we bring it back?
I did many studies already because I don't like speculation. I go through study, the scrutiny, and let any scientist prove me wrong, because I like to go through the truth, because I think there is more than meets the eye. I did many studies, and yes, I could resist the bacteria as thought of not being able by humans. We changed medical history by showing a group of people compared to 16,134 people becoming sick after injection of a endotoxemia, and then suddenly 1,200% score within a quarter of an hour, complete control over the innate immune system and the specific, by the way, the adaptive immune system. And how did I learn to do that and to pass it on? Because it's already there in us. It only needs to awaken.
Define the adaptive immune system.
The adaptive immune system is willfully regulating and controlling your T cells and B cells, and they are located in the bone marrow. We are able to willfully influence the bone marrow and to release the T and B cells, which are very specific in the targeting on the bacteria and the virus, and apoptosis, cell death. They created, instead of fever and uncontrolled shivering and headaches and being sick, flus, fever and all that, is the second layer. We got into the third layer, into the depth of the immune system, into the deepest. So, willfully being able to get into the bone marrow and release the T and B cells in case of inflammation is what we. And inflammation, I tell you, is the cause of any disease.
All right, that's a lot to dive into. So first of all, let's set aside inflammation for a second. I've heard you talk a lot about that, and we're definitely going to get into it because I struggle with inflammation. But did you just say that you can willfully control apoptosis?
Yes, anybody can.
Okay.
For that, we have the breathing exercises. And it has been shown in the comparative study, all the guys who did the breathing exercises, the endotoxin normally creates inflammation and thus uncontrolled shivering, all over agony, headaches, and fever. And the people really get sick after being injected with the bacteria, E. coli. And that's normal. But it was not normal to be able to inoculate that reaction. How did we do that? By breathing exercises that are like controlled hypoxia, where through the brainstem, the fight and flight suddenly activates the adrenaline and resets the body. And resetting the body is going past our comfort zone conditioning, going back in our primordial state, the way nature meant it to be, and that is being able effectively to battle dis-ease. Very simple, very effective, very accessible for any human in the world. And then we go a step further. A step further is the last study wherein I was exposed to cold water, and just by a thought I was able to make the skin temperature not going down while I was exposed to cold water on my skin, ice water.
Your skin temperature didn't go down?
Yes, and normally it goes down. That is what everybody thinks, isn't it? And yes, 74 people before me, they did it and they saw all the same graphics. It goes down after exposure to cold water, and when warm water comes up, then it goes up again and goes down, cold, warm, cold, warm, cold, warm. And then I did it, same. I didn't do anything. Why? Because I am in command of my breath. And with that, I become in command of my alchemy. And I'm able then to send and to manipulate any part of my body. They looked inside the brain, and whereas normally stress comes on the body, and that could be cold, could be heat, but could also be emotion. Depression, bipolar, anxiety, fear, PTSD, trauma, it's all stress in the brain. And it gets inflamed. And we don't know how to break the loop. Now they looked inside of my brain while this stressor was going on, and I stayed out of the stressor. When the cold came in, I just stayed over there, and warmth, cold, warmth. I stayed in control. And then they looked inside the brain, and whereas normally the activity of the stress is highlighting the prefrontal cortex, the conscious brain, because it's cold. Oh, I feel bad because I'm divorced now, and this and that, and my business is gone, and whatever, stress, real stress. And then the insula, which is normally active, very activated, when you go into deep meditation, then the insula is becoming more red. And then this is blue because deactivates the normal daily consciousness. And the insula, the deep meditation is on. And blood flow goes in the deeper parts of the brain. Suddenly it becomes all active, and it's pleasant, it's nice, euphoric. And the stress coming to my body did not make my prefrontal cortex active. And then they saw something very remarkable, which is a robust activation of the PAG, which is part of the brain stem, that is the deepest part of the brain, the fight and flight, the survival, but also the area of the hormonal periaqueductal gray hemisphere, which is responsible for the activation of opioids. And we got an epidemic on opioids, isn't it? But we don't know how to tap in and to make these opioids work for us. Against, it's like painkilling, analgesia, natural ones, very strong inside of us. We lost the connection, but now it is here. And the other one is the euphoric hormones, the cannabinoids, endocannabinoid system. Both are there, and they saw me activating for the first time in medical science robustly into that area. That's why it did not only solve the stressor from not being cold, it was warm. And the professors, they had a difficult time putting more ice in the water because I was warming up the water. And I was doing nothing. That is the power of our mind. And what I can do, anybody is able to do. So when people are depressed or bipolar or anxiety or fear or trauma or PTSD, it is stress, and they cannot break the loop. I tell you, we found the key to break the loop. That's where I am right now with the science.
Now here are my 2 cents, and feel free to keep the change. The inflammation response is actually the way our bodies protect us from foreign invaders. It is an immune response. When the enzyme COX-1 or COX enzyme 1 is released, it triggers the release of an enzyme you may be familiar with from high school biology class called prostaglandins. Now prostaglandins then spark inflammation throughout the entire body. The prostaglandins are there to put your body in a state of readiness to combat what it perceives as a foreign invader. Remember, the primary goal of the body is to play defense. We can assist it in playing offense, but its foremost focus is defense. The reason why over-the-counter painkillers like aspirin, as well as medically prescribed ones like opioids, are leading all drug sales and abuse is because Americans are living in a chronic state of self-induced inflammation. What you don't understand is that every time you take an anti-inflammatory for pain, you in essence are preventing the body's natural defense system so that over time your body loses its ability to manage the problem that is causing the inflammation response to begin with. One of the results of chronic inflammation is fat storage because an inflamed digestive system prevents the absorption of nutrients, which in turn triggers the starvation response. The GMO manufactured foods alone trigger COX-1, and the sugar that many of these products contain assures addiction. Now we'll delve into that a little bit more next week, but for now, let me share with you just a few keys to help you break the inflammation response this week. More coming next week. Now, though these are very simple and easy to do, the majority of people listening within the sound of my voice won't do them. But here it goes. Take a cold shower. Now, I've mentioned this quite often in previous episodes, but a cold shower changes the way your body responds to inflammation. Cold water can improve circulation by encouraging blood to surround our organs, which can then help combat some problems of the skin as well as heart. As cold water hits the body, its ability to get blood circulating leads the arteries to more efficiently pump blood, therefore boosting our overall heart health. Now, due to the sudden change in temperature, our bodies naturally go into a state of initial shock, and our breathing patterns can be uncomfortable, or we may even hyperventilate. However, with deep breathing in response to our body shock not only helps to keep us warm, but it also increases our overall oxygen intake. As a result, we'll get a natural dose of energy throughout the entire day. Now, that's just two of the benefits. There are many, many more to taking a cold shower. Number 2, don't eat anything for a minimum of 12 hours. Now, I know this sounds impossible for a lot of you, but by now you have all heard of the benefits of intermittent fasting. What I'm proposing is something quite easy. Let's say your last meal is at 6 p.m. That means you wouldn't eat anything or drink anything that contains sugar until at least 6 a.m. the next day. This is easy because more than half the time you'll be asleep. Now, do just these 2 things, or even one of them, and see how making even small changes can have a dramatic effect on the way your body rewards you with greater sleep, with greater energy, with greater focus, and most importantly, painless good mornings. Dear friends, I wish above all things that you prosper just as your soul prospers. You've been listening to Urban X Real Talk Fitness Radio with your host Tiaja. Until next week, as always, walk in health and peace.